Good morning, and thank you for joining MC Webinars. Today we are joined by William Cookson, who is the Director of Economic Development for MC, and we're going to be discussing how to align your careers provision with the government's careers strategy. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Will. But before that, Will, can I just say, can you put any questions that you may have in your question box on your control panel, and we'll get to them at the end of the broadcast. So again, over to you, Will. Good morning.
Thanks, Debbie. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all had a good Easter. Yes, as Debbie said, today we're going to be looking at careers provision, and specifically within the context of how our careers tools can be used to support adult and community education provision through local authorities. So I'll just take you through to the agenda. Yeah, we're going to keep it to the point, but we're going to give you a brief introduction to EMSI for those of you who don't know us. We're going to have a look at the government career strategy that was published in 2017. We're then going to dig into how careers can be used, and more specifically, labour market information can be used to help promote, connect and guide learners. We'll be sharing some best practice through a case study, and then we will do a summary, and as Debbie said, any questions that are raised we'll address at the end of the broadcast. So introducing EMSI. Our mission is to help people make better decisions relating to the world of work. We do this through the provision of robust, detailed and localised labour market information. And we have a proprietary data set that we use, and that underpins all of our tools and the work that we do. We work within three broad areas. We initially started working within further education. That's broadened out to include higher education and working with awarding bodies. We also work with economic development functions through LEPs, mayoral combined authorities and local authorities. And we also work with employment services, whether that's welfare to work providers or recruitment and staffing companies. We've got 120 plus customers in the UK. Our head office is in Moscow in Idaho in the United States, but we've been operating in the UK now for, I think it's getting on for 9 years. So the government's career strategy, as I mentioned, this was published in 2017. It set out essentially an ambitious plan, but one that can be delivered by a strong partnership between government, employers and the education sector and the careers community. They really gave some broad outlines in regards to how you can provide high quality education, information, advice and guidance. And that should help people to understand their options, different routes into work, and to plan the steps they need to take in order to get from where they are to where they want to go. It's also there to inspire people about new opportunities they might not have been aware of, or might not even exist yet with the way that the labour market develops at pace, or thought that they could not achieve. So it's about raising aspirations. It also allows them to understand their own knowledge and skills, and how that can be used in the workplace. It also should link directly to employment and how they can progress into a job, whatever their age, ability or background. It also requires them to it also provides information to allow them to understand how they can increase the amount they earn across their working lives and improve their well-being through doing a job that they're good at and enjoy. Within the government career strategy, there are the Gatsby benchmarks. Now, I'll go through these in some detail because I think this really sets out the standards for careers information, advice and guidance. So every provider should have an embedded programme of career education and guidance that is known and understood by their learners, by parents, teachers, governors, employers. Every learner and their parents should have access to good quality information about the future study options and how that relates to labour market opportunities. they will need the support of an informed advisor to make best use of this available information. So whereas we might have tools and information, we're saying that that works best alongside the work that can be done through an advisor. It's also critical that the needs of each student are addressed because they will have different career guidance needs at different stages. So they need to be tailored to the needs of each learner and the organisation or institution as well. And it's important that equality and diversity considerations are embedded throughout. It's also important that the curriculum learning with it is linked to careers. And there's specific reference here to STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics, I understand it, and the relevance of STEM subjects for a wide range of future career paths. The fifth point or fifth benchmark is that every learner should have multiple opportunities to learn from employers about work, employment and skills. It's about bringing employers into organisations and ensuring that employers have a voice in regards to the provision that is being offered by organisations. This could be arranged for a range of enrichment activities, visiting speakers, mentoring and coaching, and enterprise schemes as well. The sixth point is that every student should have first-hand experience of the workplace through work visits, work shadowing and work experience to help their exploration of career opportunities and expand their networks. All learners should understand the full range of learning opportunities that are available to them. This includes both academic and vocational routes, and the opportunities are available through schools, colleges, universities, and in the workplace through apprenticeships, for example. And finally, the eighth benchmark relates to that every learner should have opportunities for guidance interviews with a careers advisor, who could be internal, a member of staff, or external, but they need to be trained to an appropriate level, and these should be available whenever a significant study or career choices are being made. I hope that gives us some background in regards to the government's career strategy and the Gatsby benchmarks. But to accompany that, it's also important to look at this in regards to Ofsted requirements. So Ofsted issued new inspection handbooks for schools and further education providers and other learning providers. And it's important that when you understand, I suppose, or that we all understand, that when Ofsted are making judgments on personal development, behaviour and welfare, when they look at what an outstanding grade descriptor would be, is that there's high quality impartial careers guidance that helps pupils or learners to make informed choices about which courses suit their academic needs and aspirations, and that they're prepared for the next stage of their education, employment or self-employment or training. A good grade descriptor would be that learners use careers guidance to make choices about the next stage of their education, employment, self-employment or training. So Ofsted are looking for careers to be embedded within learning provision. It's also worth mentioning, obviously there's some statements here that you'll be able to see on the screen. But yes, it's important that we bear that in mind. And I know through talking to many providers that this is a real key factor and has pushed organisations to really look at their careers guidance and whether it's at the level that they think it needs to be in order to ensure that they're getting an outstanding or good grade when it comes to Ofsted inspection around this area. So we're moving on now to the career-driven journey as we understand it. And a career journey needs to do four things. It needs to take account of ambitions and strengths. It needs to match those to the reality of the labour market. And the local labour market is what we would stress at EMSI, because through our work and through the labour market insight that we provide, we can clearly state that every area is different in regards to that labour market and the opportunities that are within it. Should also show learners what training they need to do to achieve their goal, so the clear steps to get to where they need to get to, and connect them into the world of work through making them aware of opportunities around work experience, work placements, and so on and so forth. So we're going to move on to the how. So providers need to make learners aware of not just their course, but how that course can link to occupations. Our tool, for example, will do this through clearly linking the course offer to the local labour market. And it's interesting to look at it in terms of what occupations will it lead to. Will it lead to a single occupation or a number of occupations? And then the next questions that a learner would often ask is how much would they be able to earn? And to draw on that, we would use wage data and how many jobs there are in my region. When we say region, we're talking about the area with which your organisation is based. We would draw on employment data for that. As it states here, education providers need to be able to promote their provision to potential learners. And one way in which you can do that, which definitely gets results, is to link it through to viable careers. So that rather than just marketing the learning side of the provision, to link that through to particular careers using local labour market information. Also to connect potential learners to your offer by showing the links with possible careers and guide them to a sustainable job through their time at your institution. We'll go into some more detail as we go through in regards to how to do this. Here we're looking at an example. This is around travel and tourism, looking at a level 3 course. There's some course information there, brief course information, but you can see also there's the median hourly earnings, there's the number of annual openings within the area, and also the job growth over a time period from 2001 to 2018. So we've seen a 61% increase job growth. When we look at annual openings, what we're looking at there is not just new vacancies, but also replacement demand, often referred to as churn. So what we're seeing is the actual number of annual openings, and that's really key in terms of positioning your course offer. Here we've got another example, and this is linked to a course offer. So what we're looking at here is you can see it's a carpentry and joinery diploma level 1. This is an example of a career coach tool used by Boston College, and they can apply for that course, but immediately it gives them information about what they could earn in terms of the average earnings, the potential and entry level, and also the number of job opportunities within that area. And then it allows them to click through and have a further look. And if you click through, it's a different example again, but this gives you an idea of how it can be presented in terms of course information. So these course informations at the top there, and then below you've got right alongside that potential careers. So we're looking at an entry level 3 foundation skills in childcare, the type of careers that would link to, the average salaries, and then some description broadly about that type of career. And you'll see within the description, it gives an idea of the type of roles that have taken place, and then it gives ideas around entry requirements as well. And the type of insight that we think would be important to learners when making choices about courses, and also further along in terms of how that course links to careers. I've got a case study here. Birmingham Adult Education Service are one of our providers. They use our career coach tool, and you'll see here their head of learning has stated quite clearly that what stood out about career coach is its simplicity. They're working predominantly with lower level learners, very much through community engagement, mainly adults, very focused on entering the workplace, but need some support to make some informed decisions. They make reference to the assessment that we have within the Career Coach tool, and then how that links through to them, help them understand the local jobs, and then linking it through to their course offer. Now, they're stating here that that has a direct link to being able to allow them as an organisation to demonstrate and articulate to Ofsted and Matrix that they're really making a difference in terms of how they're working with individuals and the communities that they serve. There is a more detailed case study which I'll send to all that attend the webinar or have registered for the webinar, so that you can have a good look at how they've gone on to use their tool and the benefits that they see. Okay, here we're looking at the landing page for our new Career Coach tool, and I say new because it was updated and relaunched at the start of this year. Key differences for anyone that's seen our previous tool is that it's both mobile and tablet friendly, so the user can essentially access it remotely if they want to access it with their parents or guardians, for example, or if they want to look at it when they're not on the site of your organisation. The other thing that we've brought in is job posting data. This is predominantly and exclusively the view that we can get from looking at online job advertisements. It's an unfortunate term, but we scrape the data from the online recruitment adverts. We remove duplications, and what we can then look at is we can look at the skills which are in demand locally and which employers are looking to hire, what roles they're hiring to. Really useful insight, and on one of the further slides we'll show you what that actually looks like. There's also an employer portal that allows and enables employers you're working with to post job vacancies or work experience placements onto the Career Coach site. Now, Career Coach, I should say, can be branded to look like part of your website, so it has the same branding as you would use on your website. It doesn't look, it's powered by MZ, and it will state that on the tool itself, but it looks very much as though it is part of your website, and it's a tool within your website that you can link to. The other update is we've improved our CV builder. So multiple CVs can be created for different roles, and they can be saved and edited and downloaded from the as soon as the learner sets up an account. You'll see here there are 4 options on the landing page. There's the careers assessment. They can browse careers, they can browse courses or the course offer of the organisation, and they can build a CV. We'll go on to have a little bit more of a look at those. So in terms of the assessment was created really to look at how particular careers options link with the interests and aspirations of a person. There's slight personality test in there as well, and what we're trying to find is, and you can do this through 3 ways. You can have a quick start assessment, literally 6 questions, standard assessment, 30 questions, or a detailed assessment, 60 questions. We tend to find that people within local authority, education and community type delivery will go for the standard assessment, the 30 questions. Maybe start with the shorter and quick 6 questions. And it'll give you an example of this. Just below you can see an example of this. So would you like to work with your hand? Do you like to work with your hands, with objects, machines, tools, work and play outside, use your physical or athletic abilities? And then you can strongly agree, unsure, disagree, and strongly disagree. And once they've come to the end of that assessment, it will make recommendations in regards to the type of careers that are good link or good fit for the individual. Okay, what we're looking at here is if we were to browse through careers within the tool, here we're looking at web design and development professionals. So this is linked to local labour market information, but also the job posting data that I mentioned earlier on. So at the top of the page, you'll see data that's drawn in around wages, the number of vacancies locally, available courses, which link to that particular profession or career. And then at the bottom, you'll see the skills employers are asking for. This is through the job posting data that we mentioned earlier on, and the companies that are posting those jobs as well. So, and also you'll see a map that on the right-hand side there, which will define the area that they're looking at. And that's really quite flexible. That can be set down to district level or built up from district level. Okay, so in summary, we've done a whistle-stop tour of the way in which careers provision needs to link to the government's career strategy. We've talked a bit about Ofsted and their requirements within their framework assessments. And then we've also looked at a brief tour of the newly launched Career Coach tool. We feel this is really important. When we started off, I talked about MSI's mission to help people make better decisions in regards to the world of work. We're quite passionate about how to do that properly. You need really strong data. You need a strong evidence base to inform those decisions that people are making. We feel that this can also help you to fulfill your mission to your learners, to improve the lives of the learners who come through your doors, the employers who you're working with, who benefit from the skills your organisation has taught, and the communities in which you serve. So the more knowledge you can give learners about the career realities of their local economy, the more they can make those informed decisions about their future, and the more enthused and motivated they can be throughout their time of study. Important to state, and maybe stating the obvious, but this should not be the end of the process. We believe that the ongoing guidance, bringing in assessors to support throughout that journey that the learners are on, will help them to maintain a clear vision for their future and inform their aspirations. So, if you'd like to find out more, do drop me a line. I will make contact after the webinar. I will share the Birmingham Adult Education Service case study. But yes, the best way to find out if this would be a good fit for your organisation is really to have an initial conversation. My contact details are on the end of this webinar, but I will also make contact, and you can email me if you'd like to pick up a discussion. I should say our next webinar is around talent attraction scorecard, which I should probably explain what a talent attraction scorecard is. Essentially, it's a report that we've created. As you're probably aware, the labour market at the moment is very tight. We've got record employment, and unemployment's at its lowest since 1975. And job creation is outstripping the number of available workers. So this report really looks at how different areas of the country are attracting talent into their area. In this webinar on Tuesday, 30th of April, we'll look at that in more detail, some highlights from the report, plus a number of interesting takeaways that didn't make it into the final report itself. So we'll be looking at what that means for your area and how local stakeholders can gather around a common language of data to ensure talent supply is meeting talent demand. So that's on Tuesday, 30th of April at 2 p.m. And you can register for that through the MSI UK website. So this brings us on to our national conference, which I'd also like to mention, which is taking place on the 16th of May. Debbie, do you want to say a bit about this? You've been highly involved in the organisation of this.
Yes, we're really looking forward to this. Very exciting. We've got thought leaders from across all different sectors, so it's going to be a great opportunity to get people together to actually try and deal with the future of skills, which is obviously in the title of the conference. Just working out going forward what's going to be the best for the learners, the best for the economic development in our local areas, how we can all work together basically. So that's on the 16th. But on the night before, we do have a pre-drinks reception as well, which is including a barbecue, so that should be fun. And so if you are interested, please go to the website and you can find out more there. So thanks, Will, for that.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay, so thank you for everyone that's attended. My contact details are here. If you'd like to find out more about how we can support your organisation with careers provision and providing an evidence base to support that, do make contact. Thank you.
Will, before you disappear, can I just ask you a question?
Yes. Yes.
Just a question from one of our attendees. Would you what's the way that we find the local LMI? So they've said, I would be interested to know how you find the local LMI. So in other words, making it local. How do we find it local?
Sure. Okay. So essentially, I mentioned right at the start of the webinar that we have a proprietary data set. Essentially, what we do is we use 9 different sources of government data. We model that data to remove any suppressions, and then we can get an accurate picture in regards to what's happening in regards to industry data and occupation data down to local authority districts. Alongside that, we have contextual data such as the job posting analytics. But essentially what we're doing is we're modeling different data sets to get an accurate picture of what's happening in terms of the local economy, in terms of growth or decline by industry and by occupation. And we go down to a 4-digit level for industry and occupation. And as I mentioned previously, we go down to a local authority area. I hope that answers the question. I have got much more supporting information around that. So if you'd like some more information around that, do drop me an email and I can provide that.
That's great. Thanks, Will. That's fab. That's the only question we have.
Okay. Well, thanks for the question. Thanks for attending, and do join us for future webinars. We tend to cover a number of different subjects that are interesting to skills providers of all shapes and sizes. Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for attending.